kids. So I'm making this audio visual recording. So I'm making a video. Okay, whatever. Making a video for people who have been away or for people who need the extra help and want to review this in their own time. So we're going to go over just a couple of questions from textbook page 77, and I'm just going to reteach everything that I taught during class here. So we started our direct proportion unit by talking about something called cross product property, right? And I had a whole PowerPoint on it. So if you had missed what cross product property means, I want you to go back to that PowerPoint a couple Edsby posts ago. Okay, so it's a PowerPoint specifically on cross product property. And if you need help finding it or locating it, you can message me. But we are starting this unit learning about cross-product property, okay? I want us to focus only on that for this week. Next week, we're going to talk about direct proportions and equations. So finding the rate of proportionality is what we're going to talk about next week. So rate equation for direct proportionality. Okay, we're going to do that next week. That's an equation that looks like this. And that's going to be really confusing. So we're just going to ignore that for now. Okay, we're going to pretend that that doesn't exist for now. All right. So get that out of your heads. Okay, I know a lot of you are concerned about that. When are we learning y equals kx? We are doing that next week. So don't worry about that for now. Let's look at question 1 on page 77. Question 1 asks us if m is directly proportional to n, then it's giving us a couple of variables and asking us to find the missing m or n in that question, right? So the question tells us m is directly proportional to n, and it tells us that when m is 14, n is 7. Now remember that ratios, something like 1:2, can also be represented as fractions. So 1:2 is also 1/2, okay? This is important for you to know. Ratios and fractions represent the same thing. Okay, ratios and fractions represent the same thing. It's the same concept. They are both comparing two things. They're both showing a comparison. Okay, so we're told that m is 14 and n is 7. Without doing any of that, find the rate of equation rate, blah, 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 without doing any of that stuff, right away I know that this ratio is equivalent to 2/1, or 2:1. Right here, okay? Because it's equivalent, right? So 14:7 is the same as 2:1. They're both divisible by 7. That's how I figured that out, okay? Now, because of this, I can also say that m equals 2 times n. And that factor works out true for everything, okay? So to get to m, I have to multiply 2 by n. And the reason why I'm saying that is because 7 times 2 is 14. So I'm going to sub in my n that I got from here, right? So I'm going to sub that in. N equals 2 times 7. M equals 14. And that's how we know, okay? So moving on, the question asks us for B, determine m when, so m we don't know, when n equals 16, okay? So we have our most basic ratio here that we're working with, right? Remember from right here? So we're told that n in this case has changed into 16, and we're missing our m, okay? So we can do this a couple of ways. In our head, we already know that n times 2 will give us m. So we have to just multiply 16 by 2, right? And we'll get 32 and 16. So we could do that. But when talking about cross-product property, which is something that you're going to want to use when your numbers get a little bit more complicated, or when a question specifically asks you to use that method, you are going to do the following. So remember when I said that a ratio is just a fraction? So that's what we're going to use. So I have my first fraction, which is my basic, right? So 2 over 1, and then is the same as m over 16. M being the value that we don't know, okay? And now my cross-product property comes into play. So I'm going to multiply the means, and I'm going to multiply the extremes, okay? So remember, my means are here, and my extremes are here. I'm basically just representing the same thing in fraction form over here, okay? So when I do that, I have 2 times 16 on one side and 1m on the other. This basically just means 32 equals m. And so there we have it. I've got it, right? C for this question asks you to figure out n when m is 30. So this time we've got, sorry, I've got the sniffles, so you're going to be hearing a lot of that. This time we are given m, okay, but we are not given n. So I go back to my basic equation, right? This is the most simplified version. This time I'm told that m is 20, but I don't know what my n is yet, okay? So what I would have to do is the opposite here. If n is 2, like if m is 2 times n, then n would be m divided by 2, right? Like it's just the other way around. So without doing anything, I know that my answer is 10. But when you run into more complicated numbers, or you have a question that asks you to find direct cross-product property, what am I saying? Sorry guys, it's been a long day. I hope this is entertaining at least. I don't know.